Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, aka BGFH. I'm back for another VR experience spotlight video. This time we're taking a look at kind of a educational slash touristy sort of experience called Escape Now, the Icons. And there's about a half a dozen little of these videos where basically you're taken on a trip through some famous cities and landmarks. I believe there's the Great Pyramids. We got New York, London, D.C. I forget what the other ones are there, but there's a good number of these things in there. And I guess I forget the guy's name, but it's by this well-known videographer, I guess, or something like that. And so we're sitting here in virtual reality. My only real complaint with this is that when you're in each one of these, like virtual reality, we got these 360 videos. We got this 360 panorama view of everything. And it's impossible, especially with, the rate that, you're changing scenes. There might be a visual way to point at an interface to pause the video, but as a low vision user and the distance and the contrast and things, it's kind of hard to see. I've tried hitting every button that I can on the controller, but to no avail. I would love to be able to just pause and just soak in, especially when you're looking at some of the landmarks and iconic places. I'd just be able to hit a button and boom, pause it. I wish I could do that. The other thing that took me a little bit to get used to is kind of a unique way to navigate. So we're in this environment right now. We're in front of this apartment building, but if I look up, that's how you go through the menu. So now we're at New York City. I have enough contrast there, and I can actually read that kind of. I can't read the text below it, but I can at least, and I've seen the way New York is written. It just, I don't know, there's just something where you can almost just read that. So when I look down, that's what happens. We're at the very bottom. I can't go down any further. But if I look up, we can pan. We got DC there. We got London. That one is really tough to see with the sky contrast. Not sure what this one is. We've got, is that Paris? Or no. Yeah, okay, I think it might be. No, go up. Yeah, okay, here we go. The Great Pyramids. The Great Pyramids. So let's just start with, I'll do two, maybe I'll do a couple of these. Now this one's just kind of a summary deal. I'm not going to do that one because that one doesn't have any narration. So we'll go to New York here. I'm going to take my little deal and point. Escape now. New York City.
New York City.
New York
City. The Big
City.
Apple.
Sorry.
Gotham. Whatever the name, this place needs no introduction. And our journey begins from the top of the rock at the Rockefeller Center. Take it all in.
Yeah, cool sky view. I've been to New York like 3 times.
Depression, the Rockefeller Center represents the ambition and grandeur that has come to define New York City. It's a city within a city. Open public spaces, that famous ice skating rink with the gold statue, NBC Studios, and Radio City Music Hall.
See, I would love to just pause this and look around all these environments.
Grand Central Terminal still stands as one of New York City's most cherished landmarks. Maybe because its history is also a glorious story of creation, decline, and rebirth. Much like the story of New York City itself. With over 750,000 people passing through each day, Grand Central is one of the busiest train stations in the world.
I've been there once, and it is big, it is crazy busy. That is definitely the case.
New York City's skyline is constantly evolving, rising higher. But it just wouldn't be the same without the OGs like the Chrysler Building, an architectural manifestation of the Art Deco era and the automobile age. It was at one point the tallest building in the world, until the Empire State Building squashed those dreams.
Yep, I stayed about a block away from there one time.
As New York started booming, there was a race to build the largest skyscrapers, and the Empire State Building took home that title at 1,250 feet tall.
Actually, I think I could see it outside of my hotel window.
The latest addition to the skyline is the Freedom Tower, and it overlooks the World Trade Center Memorial. And it's a somber and reflective place to honor the victims of 9/11. Next to the Ground Zero Memorial is the Oculus Transit Hub.
That's kind of cool looking.
Art. Designed by Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava, it resembles a dove taking flight. And at a price tag of $4 billion, the Oculus is the most expensive train station in the world.
It's ridiculous. $4 billion. Oy.
$40 million people a year come to Central Park to just escape the chaos of the city. And as summer turns to fall, the trees light up with colors and paints a vibrant picture of a much-needed balance between city and nature.
I've been to part of this before. It's a nice looking view there. Nice little walking path, little water there, little bridge. I might have been on that bridge, I'm not sure.
And the park is open all season and for everyone. A literal melting pot of people of all races coming together. Another melting pot of the world is Washington Square Park in Greenwich Village. A great place to chill, relax, and do some serious people watching. Get your culture on at the Met, the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Never got a chance to visit that.
One of the world's largest museum, with priceless art spanning over 5,000 years of cultures and time periods.
Haven't been there yet.
The Charging Bull symbolizes Wall Street and the turmoil and uncertainty of the financial markets. It's headquarters to a lot of the major banks and stock companies. Wall Street's the financial capital of America, where the ups and downs of the stocks are played out in real time.
That I don't really have much interest in.
Times Square, the crossroads of the world. Lights, advertising, Broadway shows, and people. Lots and lots of people.
Yep, I think I've been to this exact area.
When the first immigrants came to the United States, the Statue of Liberty greeted them with her lamp held high, a guiding light to that dream of a new life in America.
That is a destination I wish I could have gotten to see, but there's just not enough time, and I think you got to get there like super early to even get a chance
to the borough of Brooklyn
to get out there.
And was the world's first steel wire suspension bridge. Since 1883,
I saw
millions
that.
of people have
I think we might have driven on it
its
actually.
Cathedral-style arcs.
It's a big old bridge.
From incredible museums and art galleries to some of the world's best restaurants and shopping, New York City can be a dizzying and exhilarating place to visit.
And expensive.
That's why you should check out ilovenewyork.com and plan your next trip.
And expensive and crowded. I know some people absolutely love it. I thought it was a neat place to visit. I went there 3 times, as I said earlier, for some work training at my prior job. And it was neat. I did enjoy checking out some of the places like Central Park and Times Square and Grand Central Station. I got to see those types of places. But like I said, everything is just so bloody expensive and crowded, and it's just it's too much. I would not want to live there. Just a personal opinion, though. So that's New York. Again, a lot of great video footage there, and I wish. Let me go into this one more time. we're not gonna watch it all. Don't worry. I'm just gonna go in for a second because I want to show you. If I hit the trigger while we're
New York
watching,
City,
so I bring this up.
The Big Apple, Gotham. Whatever the name, this place needs no introduction.
Yada,
and our
yada.
journey begins
So there was
from the
this
top
bar
of the rock at the Rockefeller Center.
Yeah, right there. So there's that, but I can't
Built in
see
the
if
midst
there's
of
like
the
a.
Great Depression,
There really
the
needs to be
Rockefeller
like a
Center
good,
represents the
easily
ambition
accessible.
and
Just hit one of
grandeur
these
that
buttons
has
for
come to
pause.
define New York City.
But everything that I do,
It's a
that's
city
not a
within a city.
pause.
Open public
But
spaces.
if I hit A,
that famous ice skating rink.
it just brings me back. So if I hit the A button, it just brings me back to the deal here. So yeah, I mean, that's one thing, is just even to have a panoramic view of one of the, the screen that we're on. Let's check out DC. Now, I have been to Washington, DC, but it's been, oh boy, I think I was there I think 1996 for high school. I forget what the program is called. There was this program, if you got in, where you could go, and you went there for a week, and you actually got to see, the Capitol and the monuments. Actually, a lot of the places. I would say 3/4 of the things that are going to be featured in this next video. So let's take a quick peek here. There we are. I'll kind of point out, okay, escape now. Washington, D.C.
Welcome to Washington, D.C., America's Rome, Chocolate City, and my hometown.
There's some big old
But
pillars
like many
there.
born and raised here, I barely really get to explore the monuments and memorials. So we'll be on this journey together in a way. And as winter turns to spring, the cherry blossoms attract millions of people who literally descend to the tidal basin for that perfect selfie with the branches of pink petals straight behind you.
Trying to remember what time of year I went.
The monuments and memorials are tributes to the
I've
story
been here.
of America. Like the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. Thomas Jefferson was considered an enlightened one from the hemp they used to smoke back then. But he went on to write the Declaration of Independence. And it's these symbols of democracy that are like beacons to the evolving nature of this new society that was for the people, by the people.
Yeah.
The Washington Monument is a work in progress itself.
Big old thing.
It isn't even the original design, but at 555 feet tall, it's the largest freestanding stone structure in the world.
Yep, seen that. Oh, I've been here a lot when I was there that week.
Nation stage. It's where civil rights icon Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his impassioned "I Have a Dream" speech.
Yep. I think we actually had lunch out here
All in the
one
shadows
time.
of Abraham Lincoln, who as president, he was a spark towards ending slavery. It's these types of contrasts of America that continues to play out to this very day. That even a humble pastor from Alabama could change the course of history and stand up for ideals and values of what America is supposed to be. The African American Museum is a perfect example of that. 100 years in the making, a collection of over 37,000 items. It highlights the work of the people who made this country possible, oftentimes hidden in plain sight. The National Mall is America's front lawn. It's hosted protests from the Vietnam War to the most recent Women's March. And lined along the mall are the Smithsonian museums, which capture that cultural spirit within its walls.
That's one I wish I would have got to go to, but we
Even
didn't
the spacecraft
have
that
time.
landed on the moon is at the Air and Space Museum.
Yeah, the museums, we got to do a lot more
Unfortunately, war
government
has played a
stuff.
part in the crafting of America's story.
Not so much the
And
museums.
the World War II Memorial is
unfortunately.
full of that symbolism around freedom, victory, strength, peace. It honors the 16 million Americans that took part in the war, and the over 400,000 who made the ultimate sacrifice. In contrast to the World War II Memorial that glorifies war, the Korean War Memorial portrays a more accurate depiction of war. 19 life-size statues decked out in full combat gear,
Yep, I saw
emerging
this.
through bushes and trees, their faces exhausted and afraid. The Vietnam War Memorial was built to give closure to the longest and most controversial war in America's history.
I remember walking down that
The
sidewalk,
simplicity
looking
of
at all those
58,000 names of the
names.
deceased soldiers etched into the
15,000
black
names.
granite is a somber reminder of the cost of war. Even the White House saw its share of war.
Yep,
when
got
the
a tour
British
of that.
burned it down to the ground during the War of 1812. The British also set flames to the Capitol, the center of DC, and a symbol of America herself.
Spent a lot of time in
But
there.
miraculously, a
during that week.
rainstorm came in at the last minute and helped put it out.
That was almost our home base, the Capitol there.
DC offers so much more to explore beyond just the monuments and the memorials. Every neighborhood holds its own story. Like Georgetown, it was founded 100 years before DC even was. In a way, DC is a work in progress like America herself. The Wharf is a perfect example of that. A new $2 billion waterfront neighborhood along the Potomac River with hotels, water view apartments, and restaurants. It's the latest place to hang out on the docks, check out a show, or grab some fresh crab from the nation's oldest open-air fish market. Then it's a short walk to the Jefferson Memorial, where you could just chill on the steps, eat some fresh seafood, and reflect on how cool DC is. And we only just scratched the surface.
And there you go. Kind of an abrupt ending, but there you go. Washington, D.C. So we've done a couple American things, but you know what? Let's give some overseas guys some love, too. Let's take a little jaunt over to jolly old England, shall we? Let's go take a look at London, and then we'll wrap up the video here. I kind of almost want to do them all in a way, but, you know, leave some of it for you guys to explore. I wish there were more things like this.
Where do we even begin in a city like London? Well, according to Google's top things to see in London, the Westminster Bridge is a good place to start our journey. Just as the sun sets behind the Parliament building and Big Ben himself.
Yeah, big old Ben right there.
London is home to royalty, prestige, Cheerios, and top of the morning. Across the city, remnants of that imperial past still exist.
That would be cool to see right there.
Like Tower of London,
Right here.
a fortress, royal palace, an infamous prison. And Buckingham Palace, home to the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth.
It's pretty fancy.
Spanning the Thames River, I at first thought this was London Bridge, because it just looks so London-y. But it's actually the Tower Bridge, which has become a recognizable symbol of the city. A city that at one point in history was an empire that controlled 25% of the world, influencing Western culture, trade, arts. Like William Shakespeare, whose plays you can still see performed at the Globe Theatre. The Millennial Bridge is London's first new bridge in over 100 years. It's one of those symbols of the city's contrast of its old past and its modern future. St. Paul's Cathedral is where Princess Diana was married to Prince Charles. And for more than 1,400 years, a church dedicated to St. Paul has stood at this point. The first three burnt down, but the current one has been here for 400 years. And its dome is one of the largest in the world.
It's a neat looking place.
The British Museum's mind-boggling collection of over 8 million objects paints a deep portrait of the world's cultures.
This would be cool to see,
You
I
could spend
think.
weeks here and still not go through everything.
I bet. It looks huge.
Hyde Park is London's own version of New York's Central Park. Over 2 miles of green space, which back in the day was hunting grounds for the elite. Trafalgar Square is smack dab in the middle of London. Anchored by the Natural History Museum, It's a great place to come and people watch, enjoy some random events, or just appreciate the style and history of the city.
Okay. So that was a little bit shorter. You know what? We only have, 2 or 3 more aside from that kind of summary video. You know what? Let's just do it. Let's, okay, yeah, we'll have 3 more to go. Nope, go here. Okay, here we go. Come on. Focus. There we go. Away we go. Escape now.
Exploring Florence is like stepping into a time machine and being taken to another era. Florence, the birthplace of the Renaissance, of intricate architecture and mind-blowing arts, and home to the powerful clan, the Medici family. During the medieval ages, Florence became one of the wealthiest cities in Europe, from all the trade and finance that flowed through the region.
There's some narrow
And
streets,
as Florence
man.
rose in stature, so did the power and influence of the Medici, a gang of rich bankers who also handled the finances for the Pope himself. The Medici family helped usher in the artists of the Renaissance and finance religious projects like the Duomo's red brick dome, which is one of the largest in the world to this day. The Palazzo Vecchio is a fortified palace, and it helped keep the Medici family safe during turbulent Game of Thrones times.
Some really interesting architecture here.
The Uffizi Gallery is the family's personal vault of priceless art.
God, they're just panning so quickly I can't show it all to you.
Artists from Botticelli, Michelangelo, Leonardo da
Pausing would
Vinci.
be really helpful here. They're just zipping right along.
The gallery's corridors are actually part of an
God,
interconnected
look at how fancy,
web of
look how
tunnels
intricate
that
some
span
of
the
these.
city,
There's like on the
exclusively
ceiling,
for
there's
the
just
Medici's
paintings
families
and
used to get around town.
the architecture
One
alone.
of those corridors runs above the ancient
Hey, buddy.
Ponte Vecchio bridge. It's a bridge whose history goes beyond the founding of Florence herself. And it's also a great spot for a selfie overlooking the river.
Ugh, selfie.
There's so much more to see and explore. Check out visitflorence.com and plan your next trip. And a short train ride away and you're in Rome, face to face with over 2,000 years of history.
That would be cool to see. Big old Colosseum. That would be sweet.
Looking up at the Colosseum, you can almost hear the echoes from the crowds who filled the seats.
Man.
50,000 ancient Romans cheering on the carnage of hand-to-hand combats and wild animal fights, all for their bloodthirsty entertainment.
That would be a cool place to see.
The Roman Forum was the political center of ancient Rome. It's where the Senate was held, as well as temples, banks, markets, and social events. Along the main road are well-preserved monuments like the Arch of Titus.
That is definitely an arch.
Legend has it that Romulus, the mythical founder and first king of Rome, died on the spot where the Pantheon now stands. Supposedly, he was grasped by an eagle and flown up to heaven. So this place is pretty sacred in the city's history. The Pantheon's dome is the largest unsupported dome in the world. It's a perfectly proportioned circle from the top to the ground.
It's amazing that they could build that stuff way
A trip
back
to
then.
Rome is not complete until you visit the Trevi Fountain.
Just incredible.
Here you'll find crowds day and night taking part in a tradition of throwing a coin with your right hand over your left shoulder into the fountain, ensuring you'll return to Rome again. And why wouldn't you? We only just scratched the surface.
Yeah, so the thing I don't like about that one is everything a lot of those scenes, especially look at how intricate some of those buildings and stuff were. Like they showed some interior, some exterior shots, and like I said, I could have looked at a lot of that in more detail. All right, we got 2 more to go. All right, and away we go. Come on. Come on. Oh, that's really tough to see. Okay, there we go.
Welcome to Paris,
The Eiffel Tower.
the city of lights. the birthplace of the French baguette and Marie Antoinette.
I like baguettes.
From the architecture and art to the Eiffel Tower itself, exploring Paris is like reading a historical romance novel. The Eiffel Tower was an ugly duckling when it was first built. The Parisians hated the sight of it, and it was meant to be a temporary art installation, and has gone on to blossom into the symbol of Paris itself.
Yeah,
But the
pretty
most
much.
popular attraction in Paris sits quietly along the banks of the Seine River in the heart of the city. The Notre Dame Cathedral, an equal mix of gorgeous and creepy-ass Gothic architecture.
I can see that, yeah. I can see you get a little bit of creepy
Dedicated
architecture
to
out
the
of that.
Virgin Mary, the carvings on the facade share stories from the Bible, and the statues lining the top are of Mary's cousins. Basically a group family selfie.
Huh.
When you step inside, you feel the depths and essence of this sacred place.
It's
You
really
feel like you
cool,
have to
but
start whispering.
it almost has
The
like
French Gothic architecture screams out at you.
it does look kind of
From the
imposing.
double arch columns rising up to vaulted ceilings, the sun pouring in through enormous, intricate stained glass windows. It's beautiful. 420 steps takes you up to the Twin Towers. Even my mom in a cane did it. God bless her. And the view is worth it at the top. Over 200 feet above Paris, you can't ask for a better spot to just catch your breath and take it all in. Just us and the weird monkey gargoyles hanging out. The towers aren't actually twins. One hangs lower than the other. Inside is where the humpback of Notre Dame would come and strike the 10 bells that would ring out across the city. Especially this massive 13-ton metal giant
That is a
called
big
Emmanuel.
old bell. Wow.
Paris is synonymous with art. For centuries, artists flocked to the city for inspiration. And what better place to house some of the world's greatest art than a palace-turned-art gallery, the Louvre. The Louvre is the biggest museum in the world.
Oh wow! Look at the
It would
look
take
at the
you
we're
over 100
inside.
days just to see every piece of art. But the coolest things besides the priceless artifacts are the murals that line the ceiling,
Yeah, look-
painted by renowned artists.
Yeah, looking at that architecture too. I mean, it's just
Ladies and gentlemen, the main event, the Mona Lisa. Leonardo da Vinci's most famous selfie is still going viral over 500 years later. Remember the French Revolution? Well, here's where it all went down. The Palace of the Royals. The Palace of Versailles. It's everything you'd imagine a palace to be. Golden gates,
damn.
a sculpture room,
That's pretty fancy.
bedrooms draped in tacky curtains like in the king's bedroom.
Huh?
One of the most famous rooms is the Hall of Mirrors, and it's a hall that stretches 240 feet with huge mirrors along the walls. And on
Yeah.
special occasions, 20,000 candles on the chandeliers were lit, and it would create this corridor of light.
That'd be kind of neat to see.
The Palace of Versailles estate stretches for miles, with precisely lined gardens, carved lakes and fountains, lots of fountains.
Huh.
And the Apollo fountain sits at the center of it all. Twelve main
Big
avenues
arch.
lead you to the most famous monument in Paris, the Arc de Triomphe. And it was commissioned by Napoleon to honor the French Revolution and other wars, but he died before getting a chance to see it complete. An eternal flame marks the tomb of the unknown, and every night at 6:30 the flame is rekindled. From up here you could see how the avenues radiate from the center of the arc, and the beauty of the sunset cast across Paris is the perfect postcard to this journey.
Okay, well, there we go. I think we got one left. We got the pyramids left. So, yeah, I figured, yeah, let's just blow through it all, man, because I'm kind of intrigued by this. So let's check it out. One more to go.
The Great Pyramids of Egypt continues to be a mystery that has stumped the world. And standing on the edge of a sand dune of the Sahara Desert, looking out at these mind-blowing structures, I feel so proud to be part Egyptian, of my ancestors, who are one of the greatest architects and artists of all time. But trying to understand the Great Pyramid's purpose and how it was built
God, look at
is
how
what makes
big
Egypt
those.
an intriguing place.
Look at how big those slabs are, man.
Some say it was a tomb for the pharaohs and queens. Others say it's a giant Wi-Fi tower for electricity. Who knows? But there's no denying the beauty and intrigue from every perfectly laid stone. Stones that weigh anywhere between 7 to 10 tons, with no advanced cranes or forklifts back then either. Think about that.
Well, that's just it.
After the stones were set, the icing on the cake was a casing of smooth red granite and limestone siding that would have shimmered during sunrise and sunset. Especially the top of the Cheops pyramid, which was painted in actual gold. And during the birth and death cycle of the sun, it would have shined bright like a diamond, visible from miles away, or light years perhaps. The pyramids are believed to have been built between 5,000 and 10,000 BC, and align perfectly with the 3 stars of Orion's belt, pointing directly to it. Looking at the Great Sphinx, you gotta wonder if they were dropping acid back then. Half lion and half man, the Sphinx was built to watch guard over the pyramid. The Khufu Ship is a full-size, intact vessel that was found in a pit at the foot of the Great Pyramid. It's the world's oldest ship, and it's made from Lebanon cedar. King Khufu would have used his boat to travel down the Nile. Just on the outskirts surrounding the pyramids are the ruins from ancient temples and the narrow passageways to make your way around the area.
Well, like I said, all these things they go by so fast.
One
I
of
don't
those
have time to
areas
look
is the
at 'em all.
workers' tombs. It's the last resting place for those who helped build the pyramids. Walking among these colossal structures makes you really wonder how they lived back then, and what the pyramid's true purpose was. Maybe we'll never know. Perhaps it's better that way. Visit Egypt.travel and plan your next trip to the world's greatest mystery.
Well, there you go, guys. That is pretty much all of them. The only other thing we really didn't look at was kind of a summary video that showed a little bit of everything, but we got started, and I kind of just wanted to go through and see the rest of them. I knew they wouldn't be all that long, each of them, so hey, why not, But that is a look at this experience called Escape Now. Yeah, got to see a lot of sights, and like I said, I'm actually all for being in, having more educational and just passive experiences. I want to get home, I want to relax. This is something I could actually sit in my recliner kind of and just kind of, or sit back in a comfortable chair and just look around and learn some stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. And until next time, I will chat with you guys later.